Hello, Cities Skylines fans. I'm Sockswayup, and welcome back to another episode of Newman Shores. Last episode, we got a comment from Reaver of, hey, why'd you add tall buildings around the airport? Well, I did a little bit of looking around at other airports around the world, and you can see in the background there's hotels, some medium-sized buildings, so we decided to go with that. Again, another one here is LAX, where they have some hotels around the airport that are kind of close, but they're not interfering with the runway. So that's the thought process I had, and here's a look at Green Bay, where they have some smaller ones, but not as many. You can do whatever you want with your city. I wanted to have the hotel areas close to the airport, but again, it doesn't really interfere with the runway, so I think we're okay with that. As we take a look here, showing that the tall buildings, they don't go the same direction as the runway, so I think we're okay there. Also, one thing you may notice is the game looks a little different. We do have some cinematics going. We're adding in a little bit of mods just for making the game look better. You can pause the video, see the list there, or you can hit the link in the description for the collection I've created in the Steam Workshop. Shouldn't affect vanilla gameplays very much with the rest of the series. We may add a few more over time, but I want to do this just to make the city look better and take advantage of some of the good looking mods that there are out there in Cities Skylines. And again, if we add other mods, we will let you know, and so you can understand why things are happening the way they're happening in my builds. So today we're going to do a little bit of public transportation, a little bit of expanding, and then we're going to attack level 2 of the airport. It is a full redesign of the airport. I'm learning the fundamentals of how to build them in Cities Skylines and how to make them look good. I think this one turns out a lot better than our first go. Let me know what you think. First off, we're going to start out with public transportation like I was talking about. We're going to lay down the biofuel bus stations. We're going to have the clean energy buses going around the city, picking people up, getting them to and from work a lot better than walking like a lot of them are doing, or even driving. We do want to worry about traffic here eventually. So I'm just trying to make some bus routes around the town to get people to and from different areas. We start out in an industry area, and then we're bringing that bus route to the residential area, so that should allow people to get to and from work without having to take their own vehicle. Gives them some more options instead of just clogging up the roads with more traffic. Something to be aware of though is sometimes when you add buses, you cause more traffic than you think you will, than you fix. So you got to be kind of careful with that and play around with it. Maybe minimize the amount of buses per line. Play around with it, see how the stats are, see how your bus stops are doing. Are there too many people there? Is there no one there? Then you need less buses. Again, your city's going to be a little different than mine, so do what you got to do to get yours up and running. And why is that boat still there driving around? We got to fix that. So here we go. We're changing all the colors of the lines just so we can take a look at them later if we do want to make some of those adjustments. One of the last things we're going to do prior to attacking the airport is we're going to expand some of the farming industry just to get some more income coming from that part of our city. We're at 20,000 a week already, but we want to get a little bit more because we're about to spend a lot of money on the airport, and I'm noticing there's not a lot of income coming in yet from our airport. I don't know if that's going to change as the city grows. I haven't played the DLC. This is the first playthrough, all live on the camera, in the recordings, so you're seeing it firsthand. We're doing a little bit of detailing here. We're adding in a fence. We're gonna add a little bit more residential again inside the farming area around these farms, kind of pretending that this is the crops that the owners of the houses nearby own, and they have it separated from their house just like in real life, and then adding in a little bit of details with some trees to make the people happy with the way their house looks. So attempt number 2, or I would say phase 2, we're doing level 2. There's different buildings that unlock different options. I want to take advantage of that and kind of rethink the way we designed it here. So we're doing this one that has separate lanes for departures and arrivals. Very realistic. I like this asset. A lot of airports that I've been in are this way, especially some larger ones. Some of the smaller ones don't have to worry about it, but as this one grows, I think it will be nice to have the separate lane for people picking people up and people dropping family members off to the airport as well. I think that'll be very helpful. And it caused kind of a major redesign of the road layout in this area. And that's one of the tips that I would give in Cities Skylines. Don't be scared to redo things. It's your city, do what you want. So we're doing a little bit of the one-way roads because of that, getting back into the main roads of this leisure area that we've created, and fixing it up as we go. getting the electricity back there. And then also we're making sure we're keeping these roads updated. We are changing the trees on all of the roads that do have trees. So I wanted to keep that going instead of having to go back and fix that later on. Since we move things around, we got to move some of these buildings, get these roads connected back up to this little hotel district. And that's what we're doing right here, just moving some buildings around so that we can reconnect those roads, get the road layout finalized, and then we'll have the buildings grow back in later on in the episode. So again, we're using the trick that I kind of came up with using a dirt road, making it straight. And then we had to extend the airport area first because we are adding in a little bit more. We're extending the airport out farther than we did in the first episode of the airport design. And then we get rid of the road once we get that runway the way we want it. And I decided to start a little different this time. I wanted to start with the taxi lanes and bring them down closer to the terminals, and then figure out where we want to line things up. And I think that's a good approach. As you can see, we kind of messed up with the length of the roads, got it fixed up there. But I think that's a better approach than trying to build out these terminals and then help things line up. You can see here, we're starting to think ahead and trying to get this angle going on this kind of a, I don't know what that shape is, kind of a wide U. I'm sure somebody out there will tell me what it is. But then we play around with it a little bit, trying to use some tricks of just connecting it into kind of a rectangle. That didn't work because you can't actually do that because it closes it off and it wouldn't be a functional airport at that point. But we play around with it a little bit, finally get the angles the way we want them, and then we start adding on to it. Another milestone, we hit big town, so we can get high residential or high density residential, high density commercial, and high density or the offices as well. So here we're adding in some lounges in the front of the terminal. I think that looks really neat. And then we're gonna add some of the medium gates for the airplanes as well on both sides. The first thing I noticed is the roads were a little too close, or the taxi lanes were a little too close. So we spread them out as much as possible. Eventually are able to start thinking about these as roads instead of as an airport. I was constantly I wasn't thinking that way. And then at first I started thinking, maybe let's do like kind of a roundabout type thing where there's a little loop that they go into, but it at least started helping me line things up and start thinking about the way I wanted it to be long term. And it helped build this road layout here on the airport. Last episode I struggled with that a little bit, and I didn't really show a lot of that on camera. We did it off screen here and then showed you the final product. And here I'm trying to show a little bit more of the thought process as we build it. See, I'm kind of just thinking through, looking at it, deleting things up, creating these lanes because I know I need the incoming traffic to come down on this left side here. Outgoing traffic to get to the runway needs to go from the right side. So that's what we're going with. And they need to have an option to go back and forth, as that is messed up right now, but we do eventually fix that for them to go the right direction. Here we start adding in some of the new buildings that come with level 2. I believe this is like the gas station or the refill station for the airplanes where they keep the fuel. Some more airplane hangars on both sides of these taxi lanes. This is really to add to the attractiveness of the airport to allow us to get to level 3. Also, I think it looks awesome. So I would use them either way, even if we already had every level unlocked and we wanted to design a new airport in a different area. Definitely would use them. I think it looks really slick and really nice. One of the next things we started to think about was, why does the airport have to be ugly? Let's start adding in a little bit of detailing to it. We're outlining this area that is kind of useless with some bushes at first, adding a little bit more detail just to kind of make it look like a complete product. You can see last episode we were talking about kind of learning. This episode we know where we're going to go with this. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep expanding it. So time to finalize it with a little bit of detail. And then once we get the bushes or this outline kind of done, then we grab some of the rocks that come with the game. We lay them out there to kind of make it feel like there was a reason we did the taxi the way we did and left this area alone. We wanted to preserve some of the nature in this area of the city or the town. And it looks great. I think it looks really slick. I like it. Let me know what you think. As we added one tree right in that spot. I just thought it needed a tree. And then right by these lounges, the windows that you can kind of look out at the runways and kind of see the planes as they take off, I decided to detail up this area as well because I think it needed it. I think it has a nice touch. In some of the airports I was looking at on Google Earth, so I don't try to mimic them, but I just want to try to get ideas from them. And there were some that had some nice landscaping done around these areas of the airports, and so that's what I was trying to mimic here. Hopefully it's not too much or people don't think it takes away from the airport. I think it looks gorgeous. I think it makes it look more finalized, like it's been here for a while, and a nice airport to visit if I was flying out of this city. So we added the buses at the beginning of the episode because I knew I wanted to add the bus routes to the airport at the end of this build, and that's what we're doing right here. We're adding in the bus station into the terminal so that people can get on a bus, go straight to the airport, don't have to have somebody drive them there or get a taxi or anything like that. They can take a bus right to the airport, get out of town, come back home, take a bus home. I think it's a pretty ideal situation. I'm glad they added that as an option into the game. And you can see here that caused us to have to add some more roads to give the buses access to this area. And it caused us to really, this airport area is really breaking away from the grid squares that we've been doing in the residential area. And I'm loving it. I'm loving the way it's turning out. It's also opening up some natural areas for us to do some detailing into the city. And you can see here for now, we're just adding in one bus route that kind of spreads out over town. As the city grows, as we unlock more tiles and build more mini subdivisions or areas of the city, we're going to add more into the airport as well. Kind of keep track of the airport throughout this whole series is my idea. And here goes some of that detailing that we're talking about. Some of this area that it wouldn't make sense to have any buildings. We're just going to put some trees, some nice landscaping, detailing it up so that it's it's a nice airport to drive into. It's pleasing on the eyes. It's welcoming. People want to fly out of this airport because they know it seems like it's taken care of and the upkeep on it is definitely there. In this next part of the build, we break away from vanilla Cities Skylines. These assets are also in the collection that I've added to the description of the video. This is the first thing I've used that's not vanilla so far, except for some of the buildings that are auto-generating. The assets, my custom assets, are still in the game, even though I turned off all the mods. But I wanted to put the parking lots down. I noticed a lot of videos out lately of people building custom parking lots in vanilla Cities Skylines, and you can do that. I love that option. I didn't want to make another video of that, but I did want to have some parking at the airport. I see the temptation of why those videos were made. Again, I didn't want to make another one of them. There's plenty of assets out there. If you're playing vanilla, check out those videos, or you've probably already seen them. They're pretty awesome. Again, we're just kind of finishing this area up with some detailing. This is going to be a place where there's a lot of hotels. People can come into town, get off the airport, stay in this area. Maybe they're in town for business. Maybe they're in town for pleasure. It's up to them why they're here, but we want to give them those options right near the airport so they don't have to go too far if they don't want to. We'll have other areas farther away from the airport that are similar, just to give some variety to the city and options when people come in. But then we're breaking some of our rules here. We are adding some buildings to one of the main roads, and I think that's fine because I wanted the traffic to be a little congested in the airport area. That just seems realistic to me. Most airports, especially the airport size that I eventually want to turn this into, is definitely going to be something that there would be a lot of traffic at, and I think it looks realistic. I'm not a huge fan of perfect traffic cities. If you've been around this channel for a while, you've probably heard me say that multiple times. I never aim for perfect traffic in my cities. I do not believe that to be realistic. So one of the final touches we're doing here is some terraforming. We're cleaning up some of those edges that the game makes when you add the airport areas, because it needs the airport areas to be completely flat. I get it. The edges we can clean up ourselves later on, as we're doing here. I did want to leave some of that in the video so you can see that I am doing that. Some of the areas we haven't done that yet are the ones that we're not sure if we're done expanding the airport in. And here we're kind of playing around with Ultimate Eye Candy, getting the LUT or the LUT into the right setup that we want. I'll probably play around with this a little bit more the next recording sessions until I find a place where I like it. If someone has a LUT that they recommend for this city, let me know. I'm definitely willing to listen to the suggestions on that. Kind of just taking a look at the city, seeing if we like how it turned out, and then, you know, just kind of finishing up and taking a look at the needs of the city. We did have a garbage issue, so I added a few more recycling centers to kind of close out this recording session and make sure the citizens were happy in the city before we move on to the next episode. And there's some custom assets that I got to figure out why the game's loading. I might remove them from my subscription list for a while. And that boat, we're definitely going to unsubscribe to that boat. We don't need a cop boat driving around the city. That's just weird. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, this installment of Newman Shores. I had a blast recording it, making it, learning more about the airport DLC. I know there's going to be a lot of episodes that focus on airports in this, but we're going to get away from that very quickly. We'll get back to expanding the city. There's a lot of good new things that come with the DLC that we're already showing off. As our city grows, we'll probably dive a little deeper into those, expand the airport a little bit more as we learn how to make money with it. That's a big thing. That's a big question I have right now, is maybe airports just aren't profitable in this game, and maybe they aren't in real life. I have no idea. I've never really looked into that, but that's something I did notice. Our other industries are helping keep the budget in balance at this point. We are making a ton of money still. I've just been spending a lot, haven't been letting the game just kind of idle and collect money. So it's coming along nice. It's coming along pretty good. If you have any questions, any ideas that you want us to do in upcoming videos, let me know in the comments. Other than that, I think that's going to wrap up this episode. Sorry it took so long to get out. Life's been busy. We're going to try to get back to a regular cadence of these videos coming out, and I hope you enjoy it and like it and are digging this series. I'm loving it. I'm having fun making this city. We'll get back to Lake Sockside eventually, and then also the project that I've been kind of teasing for a while that I wanted to do in 2022. We are definitely going to get that going here pretty soon. At least I am starting to do some of the recording sessions. I have some cool plans for that, and I'm excited to start sharing them with you very soon. But I'm Sockswayup. Thanks for hanging out again. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you've hung out all the way through 16 minutes of this episode, why have you not hit that like button yet? I kid, do what you want. As always, I'm Sockswayup. I'll catch you on the next episode.